Nope.
Hi, this is another session of Humans of Gestalt, and I would like to ask you guys to present yourselves, if you would, just your name and maybe where you are, if you want to say anything about very basic intro.
Do you want to go first, Jim, or shall I?
You're there.
All right. Tony Greco. I live in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I've been practicing for 21 years, and I trained at the Gestalt Institute of Toronto prior to that. I teach at the Gestalt Institute of Toronto. I don't know, is that enough of a kind of basic professional intro?
Great. Jim?
Okay. Um, I'm Jim Dalling. I'm in the basement of my house in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, Canada. I trained at the Gestalt Institute of Toronto for 4 years, and I've been practicing now for 5 years here in Dartmouth.
Okay. So I'm going to ask a question a little bit out of the order that we normally do, but because it may help to frame everything else. I'd like to ask, you can both answer this or you can leave it to one or to the other. Who are you two to each other?
Yeah.
Do you want to start, Jim? Or?
Well, yeah, Tony. Um, Tony, geez, you're really big there in front of me now on my screen. Yeah, you. I met Tony when yeah, geez. Uh, hmm. You're my therapist. You're I'm grateful that I know you. I think on the most, like, to the point, like, I'm just grateful that I know you. I, much of the time, feel way happier than I ever could have. And it's my commitment to my work and you being who you were to allow me to be me and find a place to be. So, yeah, that's so on the formal level, therapist, friend, mentor, I don't know. But yeah, in the most simple way, I'm just grateful. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I've known Jim for a very long time. I'm not even sure how long in number of years, actually. We first met in a therapy group many, many years ago, and then he came to the Gestalt Institute where we were. I was teaching, he was a student there. And it's been a long process, being supervision and becoming colleagues and friends over those years. So,
Yeah. And it's been great. The process of learning and growing through this has been just, I can hear my children in the next room. And I look at how this process of growth and connection has allowed me to be proud of being their dad is has been wonderful. And I get that as a reminder constantly now because I hear them all day.
Okay. Is there anything that you'd like to add about the story of your relationship?
I'll let Jim start if he wants.
One of my favorite sessions I ever had as a client, we spent the whole hour, and he still shakes his head, talking about hockey, and it was the best. It was just the best. I just have so much permission to just, yeah, like we just talked about hockey, and I that was one of my favorite. I mean, we had some moving ones, but that one I just was like, wow, did that just happen? Oh yeah, that happened. Huh, great. And then I walked home. Like I just, yeah, it was lovely. Hour of hockey.
Yeah, hockey seemed to emerge often as a theme or a metaphor too throughout the work. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, as you can tell, we've had a long history, so that we've been through a lot of different experiences and different moments together.
I must have come fairly early in your practice because I'm guessing like I was 26 when I started Julia Writer's group, and I'm almost 48 now. I'm 47, so
Right at the beginning, actually.
yeah.
Yes, Jim was quite the character in that group also. I won't talk out of turn there, but
We all have, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we'll just say you guys have history.
I have a
The
lot of
history
history.
can stay where it is and such. Okay. So the question now is for both of you as an individual. Um, who are you as a person? Like, what are your passions, your interests? Who are you?
Well, I think over the years I've had lots of passions, and you know, right now I think I'm kind of at a crossroads. I'm in my mid 50s, and work is still very important, but it's not as important as it was even a few years ago for me. I'm still dedicated to my practice, and I like the work, but I'm feeling a little bit like it's time to have a little more life, because really for the last 25 years, I've been really, really dedicated to trying to master this form of therapy, and trying to be a good teacher and trying to be a good therapist. And during a large bulk of that was also trying to be a good parent. So I'm still trying to be a good parent, but my daughter is an adult now. She doesn't really need me the same way she did when she was younger. So I'm just trying to find really where to go with my work and my life, and trying to find some sort of balance after years of being really probably overcommitted to my work. So that's, I think, where I'm kind of at right now. I know this may be a little bit vague, but yeah.
Jim?
Um, I'm just a clown, right? That's what I am. I'm a clown, and and clowning has always just been the art of connection. So I don't know. Yeah, yeah, I'd like to be surfing more. Um, I've had I've worked really hard to try to keep myself in check in terms of I don't want to work too much, but I don't want to too much anything really. I just want to, you know, yeah, just be enough, like enough it through, right? Like be student at, you know, just surf, be a clown, just, you know, be enough and comfortable with it. Like just, yeah. So I'm a clown, really, most basically.
Fair enough. That kind of matches what I know about you.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so the next question is, who has had the most impact on who you are as a human being? And if you want to elaborate a little bit on the how.
That's a bit of a challenging question, actually. I think perhaps in a simple way, though I think there's lots of people that I could speak to that have been influences over the years. I think maybe my daughter actually has been the biggest single influence on me. She's taught me really how to value some really simple things in life and value another person. I think she pulled me out of my kind of narcissistic philosopher bum phase that I was in as a young man. And just watching her grow up and being humbled by her abilities to be present and be active and accomplish things like I can't believe. So I feel grateful to have been part of her support. I think in some ways, I think she also humbled me. I don't really know how to explain that, but the experience of having her and taking care of her and watching her grow was humbling. You know, like all those sort of tender moments of it could go this way, or it could go that way, it could go well, or it could go poorly, and it consistently mostly going well. So I feel grateful for that. I think that's a huge impact. I think that has been a huge impact on my life. Really, for the last 30 years, that's been probably the largest impact on my life. And, then there's mentors and family members and stuff like that that had impacts too. But single person, I think, would be my daughter.
Okay, Jim? The biggest impact on who you are as a human being.
I guess in a lot of ways, my wife, Laura, we, yeah, she's accepted and put up with a lot, and I've done the same with her. It's been yeah. I think with her, I've learned that I could be loved and lovable, and I could be okay as a bit of a screw up. And, as we both kind of let go of wanting to be perfect, yeah, we found this place that I was probably looking for a while. That I just, at times didn't even realize was right in front of me, right?
Okay. So if you're okay to move on, the next question is, what event or circumstance do you think has probably shaped you the most?
I think being the son of a firefighter, back in the 80s, they didn't have PTSD here in Dartmouth with the fire department. And when stuff happened, the firefighters, who were generally men, would go and talk to someone, and these people couldn't relate, like people like my dad. And but the firefighters had a great sense of humor, right? Like it was my father who taught me how to saran wrap a toilet bowl, right? Like it's an art of, you could be going because some old person in public housing pulled a fire alarm, and they needed some attention, and it's a pain in the ass, and it's 4 in the morning. Or you could have been going out and pulling somebody off a telephone pole. And that was impactful on a family. But my father and his friends, no matter how impactful it was, they always knew how to joke and play. And that was always the best part of my dad as a firefighter and his colleagues, was the levity they brought to their work. No matter how serious or dark or desperate, that place of pleasure that they could key in on and find in their bodies to be able to go and face the unthinkable and the unspeakable that you never see. Like, most of us are blessed to not have to see, right? Or at least I was, for the most part. I got a few hand-me-downs, but you know, this sense of humor and play that they had and how they played with me was a huge gift. And I think that was probably one of the biggest impactful things. And I bring that to my practice every day. Like, there's always a joke somewhere. In every session, I promise there is a joke. I will find it. I guarantee.
Yeah. What about you, Tony? An event or circumstance?
I don't know. I don't know if there's an event or circumstance that I can think of in a singular sense. I think doing this work and dealing, this is riffing off of Jim a little bit, dealing with tragedy all the time and really learning that the only way through it sometimes is to have a sense of humor. If I can't find some humor in it, I'm gonna just drown in it, right? So, and I don't think that I was necessarily the most humorous person in the world, but I think I have a bit of a clown inside of me too, and I think it originated probably with my dad too. My dad was a very dark and unhappy man, but he did have a bit of a streak of humor. Never at home, but with his buddies, you could see it, right? So I think, so I guess in a way it would be my dad also that way. But I think it was tempered by maybe recognizing the gravity. I don't think my dad ever recognized the gravity of his humor or the gravity of life in a way. But this work has certainly tempered that for me. I think it's made me realize how tragic life can be and also how funny it has to be to get through it. So I might not be as big a clown on the outside as Jim is, but I think I'm as goofy as he is on the inside. It might be part of the reason we got along so well.
Well, there has to be something in there. There has to be some kind of common thread, right?
Yeah. And the irony, I guess, too, or maybe not irony, I'm not quite sure what to say, is that both my brothers are cops. So there's something at play in that kind of similar soup, I think.
It's kind of like the trauma and resilience themes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, one of the other questions that we have is how has Gestalt therapy, take that however you will, affected you as a person?
Saved my life. Helped me make meaning in my life, a career. I don't know. I don't know. It's like, I feel like I have a life because of it. Right? I feel like I feel like I can be really present and connect and learn and appreciate my kids. And I'm just damn grateful for that. Like, I can negotiate the world and the difficulties and my own nuttiness with it in much better ways. And it's giving me a gift that I can help give right? Like just some of the aspects of just how to live, right? How we all have a place, right? How there's room, there's room for us in the field, right? That's just a really simple thing. Yeah, which has just been, yeah, wonderful.
Well, it's simple, but it's not. It kind of sounds like belonging.
Yeah, yeah. If you're born, you belong. Somebody said that wise. It was at the Institute, and was that Jay? I don't know. I heard that said at the Institute in Toronto, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. You don't need to contort yourself to belong. If you're born, you belong here. It's like, huh, simple. Yeah.
So what about you, Tony? How has Gestalt affected you as a person?
Well, I think it's affected me in all kinds of manners, but first and foremost, it kind of pulled me out of my zombie-like existence in my late 20s. I was very depressed for a few years, and I was actually doing a classical psychoanalysis prior to my buddy saying, "Hey, why don't you check this out?" So I'd been in classical analysis for 5 years, and I think I had developed a lot of insight, but I was still numb as hell. And I walked into the Gestalt Institute, and I met Joanne Greenham, and she insulted me right off the bat. And I got irritated with her, and I was like, "Oh, we're off to the races, are we? All right, let's go." And pretty much it was 4 years of old-time Gestalt and off to the races. But it was invigorating, if nothing else, that's for sure. So, and really that's, I think that's what it did, is it kind of reinvigorated me and vitalized me in ways that I had no clue of up until the encounter with Joanne and Jay, and primarily the two of them. And also and what it's given me ongoing is not only, my experience as a client and as a student, but the freedom to be creative with people, and how invigorating that is. I think hopefully both ways, co-invigorating, co-enlivening. So it's given me a life, literally, in the sense of feeling more alive. And it's given me a career, which I wasn't really expecting, actually. I wasn't sure if that would be an outcome. So, I'm very grateful to my friend for saying, "Hey, why don't you try this?" My friend is also a Gestalt therapist. He's been doing it for a long time also. So.
Okay, so that's also a little bit about how you got into it. Is there anything either of you would like to add to that kind of question, like how you got there, either in what shape you were in when you got there, or how you concretely got pulled in?
Sure. For me, psychology was an interest starting in high school. I remember just stumbling across the Freud section in the public library in Niagara Falls, and just being fascinated. And then I went off to university, and my first year psych course just killed my interest in psychology. So after meandering and feeling kind of lost in the forest for a few years, and trying different things, including wanting to be an academic for a while, my friend Frank Rocchio was doing the training in the program in Toronto. He said, "I think you'd really like this." And he started to describe the crazy shit that went on at that school. And I thought, no, it sounds really crazy. It doesn't sound very interesting. But the reality was that, he and two of my other friends were seeing Gestalt therapists, and including my partner at the time. And it was so remarkable to see how quickly the impact of the work was on them in comparison to my 5 years of being in psychoanalysis 4 days a week. It was just like, oh my God, there's something here, right? So off I went to that interview where Joanne insulted me, and I was pretty depressed. I was very in my head. I was very philosophical. Underneath all of that, I think, was a tremendous amount of rage. And that space kind of allowed me to sort of explore some of that stuff and come alive. So it was a career that I considered very young and then put off. And then when I did the training at the program, it was like, oh, I like this. I like what it does to me. I like what I see, the impact on others. I think I want to do this. And somehow, I guess I had a bit of a gift for it. So I've been pulling it off somehow for 20 years.
You've been getting by.
I've been getting by for 20 odd years now. Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Jim? Anything you'd like to add about how you got there?
I guess I'd been a artist and a performer, a clown, and family crisis prompted a pivot, and it was suggested to me that I might consider looking into it by Tony, and I did, and I met Joanne Greenham as well, and she was a spectacular teacher. Yeah, she was really. Anyway, she didn't insult me. She blew so much smoke up my ass. Yeah, she was. I left feeling really confused, and probably had a chip on my shoulder the size of the Grand Canyon for the first little while, but I understood. Yeah, I found a place amongst absolute madness. The people there were lovely and bonkers, and we were all bonkers in our own way, and we could learn from each other and be with each other. It was an incredible experience. It was yeah, magic, but it was courtesy of Tony. Well, he suggested, but you know.
Okay. So the next question would be, what is your greatest memory related to Gestalt somehow? Training, anecdote, session, whatever. What is your highlight? You like, this is the one. This is the good memory.
It looks like you got one there, Jim.
No, I'm like, which one? Like, oh, where do we go from here? Like, there's, like this, anything that I could say to this is probably confidential.
We'll blur the faces and change the names and. No, you don't have to answer if you want, but just the smile says that, you know, obviously a few things have happened. Do you have anything you can share on camera, Tony, or no?
Yes, I think I can, yeah. I won't reveal any names or anything. I think probably in the training program, the most impactful part of the training program, and there was a lot of impactful moments, of course, but we would do this 5-day residential in the spring, and it was just like batshit crazy intense. And it was like 5 days of playing in the woods, essentially, with all these existential themes, right? And I can't tell you a moment, but just that ability to play at life, right? All these really intense, you know, all the tragic, all the hilarious, all the crazy, just playing itself out with, you know, 50, 60 people of doing that together. It was just like freedom and creativity just came slamming together. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I remember coming from the first Maple Lake residential, and it was almost like being on a substance, and being in a heightened state of play for so long, driving back into the city, and I always used to rage at Toronto traffic. Like, I used to be so angry about the traffic, and just driving and having the sense of, oh, all these people around me, they're just trying to get to where they need to be, and everybody's just doing it in their own way, and just really having a felt sense of that pulling into the city and just seeing the space and it all unfolding and just thinking, oh yeah, everybody's doing their thing the best they can right now. And just being really settled in that. It was remarkable. I haven't
All
never
those
been
years
there
in
since.
therapy, and the highlight is being able to sit in traffic. That's
Yeah,
cool.
man.
I like
Yeah.
that. Going crazy in the woods and being able to sit in traffic. I like that.
That was
Okay.
proof it worked.
It's true. It's change, right? It's something different. And on the other side of that, the other question that we have is what would be one of your more challenging moments or your most challenging moment? Any way related to Gestalt?
Oh, I think sometimes just sitting in a room with someone who's in intense pain and grief, it never fails to be singularly focusing when someone opens that part of their lives up in front of me. And it's not challenging really, it's just the intensity of it really is what I'm speaking to. Like when someone shares their loss, like I can just have images now just like racing through my heads of moments of people sharing tremendous loss with me and stuff, and how powerful. Yeah, I guess the challenge is sometimes to be able to come back from that and still have a sense of humor and joy, considering the horrendous grief and loss and pain that people have shared with me over the years. Stories of torture and all kinds of horrible things that I won't describe because I don't want them to be seared into your minds. So, yeah.
Jim?
I think, what's that?
I'm sorry.
No, that's it.
When you talk about the grief, I just feel that right through me. Being present for those sort of things. Yeah. And I don't have much to add to that other than I feel that the weight. I think that's probably why or why I play so much. I just play whenever I can because there's sometimes, yeah, I'm always looking for levity because that weight is the reality of so much.
Okay. Well, the last question that I really have is where you either see yourselves going with this Gestalt thing in the future or where you see it going.
Well, for me, I see myself continuing as a therapist, probably well past my prime. I can't really see ever ending ever stopping this work. There might be a time where I have to say enough, but I do love doing the work. And where I hope Gestalt continues to go and grow is in just that rich diversity of like everybody does this differently, where everybody kind of brings themselves to it in a real and meaningful way, and that we don't get formulaic, and we don't get stuck on one way of doing it or something like that. That there doesn't become an orthodoxy. For me, it gave me permission to be myself in a way that nothing else did, and I hope that people continue to get that out of this as a therapy, as if they become therapists, to find their own way of doing it too. Really finding that signature that is everyone's birthright, I think. So that's what I hope.
Okay. What would be your particular signature? Like, what is it that you do that's different?
Me?
Yeah.
Fuck, I don't know.
Ah,
I don't know. It just keeps changing.
Okay.
It's really about like just being free to explore and to play and experiment with whatever emerges in the field with someone.
Okay.
I don't know. I think I try to be kind, and I think I try to be playful, and I think I try to encourage the other to show up in whatever way they do that, whether it's crazy, silly, enraged, happy, whatever. Really trying to give someone the space to find their own voice, really. In and against mine or whatever, So I don't know how else to put it, actually.
That sounds fair. What about you, Jim? Where's this all going?
For me, where's this all going? For the immediate future, it's staying in my basement.
Yeah, true for a lot of us these days.
Yeah, I could go to my office and work out of a more professional environment, but I've been really enjoying my basement. I'm going to, I have a clown teacher, his name's Philippe, and Philippe is always talking about following your pleasure, and not necessarily in a Dionysian way, but to just find your pleasure, to play. So I don't see myself stopping any of this. This seems like a natural, being a Gestaltist seems like a natural extension of studying clown. And yeah, and many years of clown, right? The levels of, just looking for sensation and looking to find ways to play. So I'm going to keep following my pleasure and finding ways to play, and hopefully being kind and compassionate and present with people, and not getting, just not being carried away by my own play, but just having enough of it to keep me moving along. And then for Gestalt, where I see that going, in order for it to live, I'm guessing, there's academic approaches, and then there's embodied approaches, and I hope people to continue to explore playful, present approaches. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you. So finally, I would just say, if there is anything that you would like to ask each other, or anything that you would like to add, this is the time and place.
Hey, Tony. I needed a big cry, obviously. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I must have been emotionally constipated.
Yeah, this was lovely. Thank you, Heather.
Okay.
Format.
Well, thank you both. This has been fun, and if you can think of anybody else who would be enjoyable and who would enjoy sitting down to have a chat, let them know, and I'd be happy to see them. So thank you guys, and enjoy your confinement, and we'll see you soon. It was nice to meet you.
Thank you, Heather. Nice seeing you, Jim.
Nice seeing you, Tony.
Ciao. Take care.